Hey everybody, it's Manny Mustakakis. I'm coming to you live from Long Island. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you about sleep and how it affects, how it can affect your heart. It's a topic that I decided to talk about because I haven't been getting much sleep lately. I often don't get much sleep. Like a lot of parents of young kids and like a lot of professionals who are busy people, we just don't get enough. I happened to be on call this past weekend. I was up a lot in the middle of the night, and I was up pretty late at work the last couple of nights. So sleep just there hasn't been that much of it lately. This topic goes for me way back to medical school and my residency training. And, there was a time when I had to stay up a lot more than I do now. But sleep deprivation in general is a very bad thing for a lot of organ systems. But as it affects your heart, there's a couple of things that are pretty important to understand. Number one, it can definitely be associated with increases in what we call heart rate variability, which is to say, how many beats a minute does your heart beat? You want that number to be kind of consistent. A normal heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute. People who tend to be very athletic and physically fit might be a little bit slower than that, but you don't want a lot of variability in the heart rate, and that's inadequate sleep is definitely implicated in some hormone production that can be linked to increased heart rate variability. It's also linked to increased weight gain and, again, sort of the central obesity. We talked about this a little bit the other day in a video that I talked about exercise and eating and dieting, intermittent fasting, and so forth. So weight gain is definitely associated with inadequate sleep. There are certainly a host of other organ systems and health-related problems that maybe are not heart-related that can be associated with inadequate sleep. Certainly irritable mood, that I think any parent with young kids who tend to keep you up at night know about. Then, certainly the last thing would be how do you plan for appropriate sleep? I like to try and wind things down as much as I can in terms of turning off TV, in terms of not eating the last couple of hours. Make sure that you get to bed at a reasonable hour, and then try to set yourself up to sleep a good 6 or 7 or 8 hours in the middle of the night. And actually that brings me to the last point, which is how much is enough sleep. There's actually a lot of research done on this. There's different phases of sleep. The REM cycle and the non-REM cycle, I think a lot of people are familiar with. The deepest phases of sleep is the non-REM, the third stage of the non-REM cycle, and so that gets to how much sleep should you be getting. There's a lot of evidence that indicates that a target of 7 to 8 hours a night is where you want to be, and then less than 7 or 6 hours and more than 9 hours on a consistent basis might actually be detrimental. The average sleep cycle is usually about 90 to 120 minutes, but if we call it on average about 90 minutes, you want to be sleeping in multiples of that. And the deepest sleep that we talked about, the non-REM stage 3, happens about halfway through each cycle. So if we call it on average about 45 minutes. So if you want to sleep in multiples of 90 minutes, the general target is about 5 to 6 cycles per night, which will get you into that 7 or 8 hour range. But if you understand the 90-minute cycle, that sort of can explain why sometimes people don't understand why sometimes when you sleep longer, you might wake up really drowsy. If you happen to be awakened in the middle of the deep part of sleep, you're going to be really drowsy. So, for example, if you slept 2 cycles or 2 times 90 minutes, maybe 3 hours you feel actually okay when you wake up, but if you slept 4 hours, you might wake up in the middle of that deep slumber and be, that's the time sometimes when the phone rings or an alarm goes off, or for whatever reason we're awakened in the middle of that deep part of sleep. That's when you wake up exhausted, disoriented. You have a hard time, kind of figuring out where you are. That happens to me a lot on call. If my phone rings while I'm in the deep part of sleep, or some pager goes off, I wake up disoriented a lot, and it takes a minute or two to really get your head straight. But so that's where I'll wrap this up. You want to try to sleep 7 to 8 hours per night and in multiples of 90 minutes as a general rule. It's not an exact thing, but sort of just something to think about. I thank you guys as always for watching. I hope you'll comment with where you're from. thanks for commenting, Pam and Phyllis. Good luck on your stress test, Phyllis. Okay. I hope you'll let me know how it goes. And again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate you engaging in my page and liking my page. I hope you'll share this with people who are who might be interested in it. It's just an interesting topic sometimes, I think, to talk about. So have a great night, everybody, and thanks for the likes and the shares, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.